So hi everyone. Now today I'm gonna do a short stream and yeah, we will continue on the neovim feature, and I merged the master branch into mine, and then I got some errors that I have to resolve first. So I get this one, but I don't really understand why it's failing. It states that I use an undeclared function. But the strange thing is that the function was already there. So what I thought here, where it could came from, is that it's not defined here. Here in X do command in the header. This one. And could be, but I don't see this generated file somehow. Not sure how this should work here. Yes, this should be somehow generated. And I think the functions should be defined there then. Because the function, the do get address function is actually in this file, in this do command in the C file here. It's kind of strange. And maybe we can look where I merged the master. What's really changed there? That's what I merged. Two and 8 should not be now. Right. This 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the last one. So error message in this pointer here. So actually, if I copy this, and we look into div open of this. I think it should be like this, right? Oh. Here the view open. Okay, think master. Oh, I was doing call. I did call the wrong function. Wait. Div file history, that's what I wanted actually. Oops. What is this? Div C. So this is introduced somewhere here. Just wondering why it doesn't recognize it for me. So don't really see much there. How could that be? It's wait, I did change this. Right. Go back. So the white states completely different thing here. It tries to do this. But actually here the line seems different, right? We have here the second and the third arguments, they look differently than here. So I wonder why this is. Why it does not pick the changes up. So make clean. Should remove everything. Does this work? I think this help command is for make. Right. Okay, now it changed. But I still get an error. About undeclared function. So if we look into the code that actually is in master, let's say div C, right? Search here, say forget address. And this comes from x2 command C. Search here forget address. Is this because of the static in front of? Why is this even static here? I have to rebuild, I guess. Now we're talking. Incompatible type for argument 1 of get address. Struct. So okay, what do we incompatible type for argument 1 get address. Next arc aka struct next arc. Generate expect next arc star. Yeah, next arc star, but argument is of type next arc. So should I have to pass an address here? Is this already it? Just not sure because of the char pointer here. This is the command actually. Here we do a get address and we pass the arguments, which is the dia here, buffer bp dia is div anchor's local value. What's actually div anchors? Div anchors. Let's do this a little bit smaller. I hope you can still see it. Then I get the preview. It's just easier for me if I can see the preview. This is global or local to buffer. List of address in each buffer. Separated by commas that are considered anchors when used for diffing. What are anchors in this context? It's valid to specify $+1 for first past the last line. Percentage cannot be used for this option. There can be at most 20 anchors set for each buffer. Okay. Each anchor line split the buffer. The split happens above the anchor. So again, list of addresses in each buffer separated by commas that are considered anchors when used for diffing. It's valid to specify $+1 for first past the last line. The addresses. Their addresses. Let's run this again. At least it compiles now. Let's see. So, okay, yeah. Master merging broke stuff. Actually see how much is broken when you run the functional tests. Let's run them in background, and for the time being we can look at into this test errors, invalid argument, diff anchors. Where's that? Invalid argument, diff anchor 0. Where is this exactly? Line 30. Diff anchors, this one is invalid. Should be anchored to lines. Test bar for local marks should be anchored to lines 10, B. But we get here an invalid argument. Actually, we could remove all that here. And let's say this is null. Oops. What's the difference? Why do we have null with double L and sometimes null with one L? Like this one. So this one is null character. It was there before. It was a null, not a null character. So it was not like this. So let's see, I think I messed some stuff up here. Let's do it back as it was and do only change this part. Can remove this for now. Let's do the test again. Actually, it should not change anything because here I don't remember that I changed too much here. Let's see also in the functional tests. Are they running? Still running. I wonder how they behave. Actually, because we changed code and they're still running, so we stopped them for now. Let's see if we could fix the old tests here. So I have only one error now. Test Python. Pure evil. neovim error code while processing request Python evaluate vim trace bake most recent call stack trace. Test shell failed. See output above and summary for more details. The test shell failed. Test shell failed. Job exited with code 134. Invalid size is this one which was failing. Let's open this up. Invalid size unsorted R and N. Invalid size. In which step was that? On gate. But now let's run the functional tests in the background again because they take a while to complete. That time we can investigate. So I had an issue already in this function. And I had resolved that. Don't know why this is coming back. Here we have another one. Is this a different one? Look like it, right? By free evaluate vim. We don't have evaluate vim. Oh, we have here try and free evaluate vim. Test shall fail. See output above and summary for more details. But don't see the more details here. Actually, that's it. And this one is a different one. That's really hard without the proper error message. Yeah. Error code while processing request. Can search for this error type. Is a non or is not a standard Python error, but rather an error code from the neovim editor indicating that an issue if it's Lua scripting, often related to a missing module, incorrect configuration, or an error during execution of Python script. So if this is neovim related, then I should find it somewhere in code, right? You know, did I searched incorrectly before? Seems like it. Oh, not here, not here. I'm Fossy. Hi. How are you? I did something recently you might find cool. Okay, let's hear. Curious. I used piping commands and redirecting standard in and standard out for existing Unix tools to basically make a faster telescope. Oh, nice. I actually did one small PR in that regard in neovim. So you kind of, I'm pretty proud of it because this was my first PR and it was small, but it was something. Maybe just to show you what I mean. It was about the how this piping works behind the scenes. Previously it was done that per default, if you pipe something into a bash command, it was piped into a file first, and then this content of the file was piped into a bash command, and when it wrote something back, it was piped into a file, and then you read it from the file. And my change was to actually remove that, because there was already a way to do it directly via pipes without needing to write it into a file before that. This was this shell temp. So per default, it's now using pipes directly instead of writing into a file. And it was quite a challenge, not because of the Unix commands. They were just fine, but because of PowerShell. PowerShell is really broken in many ways. And it was really not that easy, and took me quite some time to figure out how to fix that on the PowerShell side, or not in the PowerShell itself, but in the way how we define how to run the PowerShell commands behind the scene. I want to get better at understanding piping commands and start using more workflows around that. I used LLM for my case, but it was still cool nonetheless. Yeah, I think this is pretty powerful stuff. If you just can do stuff on your selection and piping back and forth between the commands, right? The only thing that currently kind of blocks or makes this workflow really hard to do is that it does not understand the char-wise selection. That's why I'm doing this pull request, because I often find myself wanting just to select stuff here inside any line, right? And just pass this selected part into the command in the bash. So like this, and do whatever base 64 or something like this, right? And then do something with that. And it does not work currently, because it will send the whole line into the bash command, and it kind of sucks currently. It's actually noticeably faster than Telescope. Yeah, I guess Telescope does a lot of more stuff around that, right? I saw it often on Reddit that people write stuff like that without Telescope, and it seems kind of always be faster. But I think it depends what you're doing, right? And most of the time it will be faster because you just don't do that much, and you do only the specific thing, and it's yeah. It's like if you would program something specific in C and program the same stuff in Java. It's just doing much more for you behind the scenes. That's why it's so slow comparing it to C. I use fuzzer and echo AWK RG bed T. Look interesting. Also, one thing that where I used also this piping. I'm not sure if I still have it. Let me just find. I think it's in my dot files. Oh no, actually I have an extra repository for that. I had some small commands here where I use often. Let me see. Stuff like this. UUID generation. I added a small function for that, and I just pipe it into. I'm not really piping it in, but I'm piping it the results out of UUID generation command. And what I did also, but I rewrote it, was base 64 encoding and decoding, but now I'm using just the internal function of neovim for this. But for base 64 URL encoding and decoding, I use this bash command. Or shell command. This is pretty handy if you have something what you use more often. You can just wrap some small Lua function around that and just reuse these tools. So stuff like this is pretty handy sometimes. I send you a GIF of what I mean. I'll send you the command itself, and that might give you more insight on how it works. Oh, I guess I'm storing variables. Forgot to mention that. That's fish specific too, since that's the shell I use. Yeah, I was looking into fish, just didn't find the time. I also have installed it, I guess. Well, let me see. Yeah, I have installed it. So I like the language that they use for scripting. It's a little bit different than Bash, but in many ways it seems easier to write. So yeah, I wanna use it more in the future, but yeah, first need to finish my work on this pull request. You send it me, but where? Where did you send it? Oh, in Discord. That's a hell of a script, but it looks interesting. And it does basically. does basically the same as telescope. But full screen. And it's faster, you say? Interesting. Yep, I have a file picker version and also one for searching just in the current buffer. Thought the one I send you is for grabbing across entire files. I'm using auto command for term open and term close. Okay. Essentially what I do is redirect the output to a file, parse the lines, and then I can convert it into quick fix list format, and also how I extract things like file, line number, columns, etc. Despite me opening a terminal instance, it's still basically instant. Why do you need to redirect the output into a file? Just because you need to parse it multiple times, or why? Reason I had to open the terminal instance because fuzzy find wouldn't work without it. Yeah, okay, I understand, because fuzzy finder needs a terminal, right? It depends on one. Interesting. I actually never did something like that. It sounds really interesting. How you mention it, I think I can just grab the standard out. I redirect it to a file for testing. Okay, Yeah, then I guess it would be the next step, right? To kind of do that without writing into a file, which may save you also a little bit of time. I just guess that it will be a little bit faster without first piping it into a file and then reading back in. Yeah. Yeah, keep me up to date. It's interesting. But I do quite a lot, not in the stream, but my daily job is if you're working with GVT files. This is also here in my little library here. Wait, why is this? Oh, GVT. It's not kind of nice or something, but it's pretty handy. What I do, if you have a GVT token, like just copy one from GVT.io, example token. Come on. Somehow it's slow lately. Oh, now it's changed. It seems a little bit different. Okay. This is also where I use this piping stuff. So like if you have somewhere GVT token like this, right? This GVT decode, it's pretty handy. You can just see what's inside without having to use this GVT IO. And if you just need to look into the GVT token, how it looked like. And I think I wrote also the other way around. I just wrote decode. So it would be also easy to encode it again, but most of the time I just need to decode to see what's inside. Will do. It's very snappy and satisfying. Yeah, I think so. If you write something for yourself which just works for you and is even faster, right? It's amazing feeling. So this, I like the part which I wrote also here. Let me see. .NET, this BSP, I did it in previous streams. Explained why I wrote that and what BSP is and stuff. But actually, I appreciate like the possibility with it now that I wrote it to easily build solutions or projects in .NET. It's just because before I did always like .NET build and stuff, and basically it does the same but also populates the quick fix list with errors if there are any, and it's just handy. And also like that. I'm going on that arc where I want basically no plugins. Okay. Only what neovim ships with. And just starting experimenting. I swear it's an addiction. Once you learn that you can just extend functionality and the power of things, then it's quite easy to get attached to diff things. Happened after I discovered Vim, realized there are much simpler ways to do things. Yeah, basically this is why I like neovim, because you just can extend, even if it's just the small functions like this GVT decode, and it just saves you a couple of seconds, but it's just satisfying to do that. Just to be able to write some small helper functions in just no time, basically. And yeah, it helps you just on your daily stuff. And it's just so simple in neovim to do that. That's why I like it. I mean, in other editors you can do this with plugins too, but to write a plugin, let's say in JetBrains or Visual Studio Code, it feels like you have first to study stuff before you can even start. But the basics in neovim to write your own function which you can use. It's just easy. Yeah, initially I didn't understood why they chose Lua, and it felt like complex and you have to learn a new language and stuff. But if you just give it a try, I find like it was an obvious choice after comparing it with Vim script. It's just much easier to understand and learn. I actually never learned Vim script because it felt like really hard to learn. And Lua was first kind of also complicated on the first look, but when you just give it a try, I mean, it's really simple language for the most part. Maybe if you need to do advanced stuff, it may be different, but for the small things, it's easy. So I have many failed commands again. Just when I feel like I'm on the finish line, I merge master in, and then I get like more errors. Where to even start? I have some errors here, but they are hard to find where it's really actually is failing, because the output is not that shady here. Got exception in test Python PewEvo. Python Evo. So I guess I have to find where it's actually doing this evaluation stuff. It doesn't find anything. Python. Have a Python Vim. Python free Vim. Does this work? Python provide. Python call. I don't even know if this is on my side. Something which I'm missing on my local setup, maybe? Or if this is really an error because of the changes I did. Trace back. Add command line script. Run test function, run test Python. Provide a Python recall. I think I skipped this for now. It seems not related to my changes at the first look. So we will focus maybe on the functional tests First, let's fix this one. So the fixes to make it build again. Right, and then we start with the first issue here. API neovim list runtime paths returns nothing with empty runtime path. Expect object to be the same. Passed in this plugin foo packer packer start plugin foo. Okay. Neovim list runtime paths. Okay, I did it too, so it doesn't output to a file now. Thanks for raising that question. Yeah, you're welcome. Glad I could help. Does it feel faster? Maybe it's just, even if it's faster, maybe it's just a little bit faster, right? So you don't really see that difference, maybe in milliseconds. So we set this, and then we enable list runtime paths. Yeah, I can't really tell, since the only performance changes when actually entering the file, other than that it will be the same since the file wasn't created until a query was confirmed. It tells since the only performance change is when actually entering the file, other than that it will be the same since the file wasn't created until a query was confirmed. So don't get that one, but I also didn't look in that detail into your script. You said it is for searching in the current file, right? As in the live search wasn't generating a file each time. It was only generated once I'd confirmed which file I want to visit. Hence why T was the last piped command. Now the one I sent is for searching across all files from PVD. Okay. So we're talking about a different command now. Okay. Let's actually push these changes. Let's build. Push this. Because it seems here. The bash command here. This seems like this part is coming from somewhere else. Is this really something which changed from my, like, which is caused by my changes? It seems really something else. List runtime paths. Build test. What is it? Why? Where does this come from? It's in every test here. Zig. Build. Strange. Maybe let's make a clean here. And rerun functional tests. So in the time when we're waiting, close some of them here. Let's open. Let's have it open. Maybe I need to look up stuff. Oh, maybe I don't. I have locally installed also the repo, so I can search there. I need to. So they were already failing here because of this stuff here. Unsigned long. This on lint. This failing on linting. And crustify. Lua check. So it's in the shell C. 1000 something. Shell C. Here, I guess this is size T. Do I have here else? 1049. It's just right above. Implicit conversion change silentness into size T. Okay, let me see. This is int. That should be size T. Then we don't need this part, I guess. And then I need, oh, I see. I have to do this here also. Right. Is this needed? I think so. That's the one thing. Link limit. Unused variable. That's basically the same result on Crustify. Let's say x2 command. One failed. This is the one which actually fails. So the other command was just somehow polluted from a different run or something. Maybe because I run all tests simultaneously. But let's do a make format. Then we can do a lint. At least the unit test. Run through the old test. Have issues. Only here. It failed. Is this failing because of this conversion stuff? Was this also why it failed for me locally? It's strange that here it writes like correctly where the issue is. And when I run old test, just the output is just hidden. But the output is also different. But maybe it's because of the ceiling. That's a compiler, right? Ceiling compiler. So maybe I should switch to ceiling instead of GCC. So we're gonna look at Lua check. This was this part. So let's do a lint. Okay, it did change a little bit here. Here and here. Ah, this was the other change. Here should have a space between this and the comment, okay. If this is everything, then it should be fine. So I have to clean up also the stuff, but first maybe getting the tests working. It looks better, at least some of tests are running fine. LLM might have suggested a better way. Just experimenting with it now. Do you mean for your fuzzy finder approach? Unused variable. Okay, yeah, this is... Let's move it back. Let's see if this is working again. For the fuzzy finding approach. One thing I will say is for scripting, LLMs are good. For serious languages like C++, it makes stuff up, or you just have to keep incrementally giving different prompts. Yeah, I think it helps initially, like, I mean, for Bash, it's helping because Bash is really hard to remember the syntax for writing stuff. It's just easier. It gives you a heads up. Or a head up. How does it called? Heads up. And then you can just change stuff and get it to work somehow. And it's easier if you have something and you then have to adopt it or adjust it just a little bit, than if you have to write it from scratch completely. Contains reference but not assigned. Okay, but this is only warnings. Let's actually do all tests here. So let's look into this error here. What do we do here? Buff set lines. Null. The beginning. Hello, hello. cat. Buffer get lines. Do we get there? When it reads, I think the error here is when it reads back, it interprets the null character as a carriage return. Is this it? Nim buffer set lines. And then buff set line. Buffer, start, and replacement. Start. But why start from 0? Isn't it 1? Based for lines. Actually in the help again. So let's open this up. Indexing is 0 based and exclusive. Oh, here it's 0 based. Negative indexes are interpreted as length plus 1 minus index. And minus 1. What was that? Negative indexes are interpreted as length plus 1 minus index. Refers to the index past the end. So to change or delete the last line, use the -2. Delete the last line, use the start -2 and the end -1. So this is from beginning to the end. We set null character hello, and then in the next line also hello, and we pipe it into the cat command, the whole line, whole file I mean, right? And then we read back everything. Actually, lines. So let's search for this, but let's see. Here it's 0 based. Buffer set line. Normalize index. Normalize index. Whatever that means. Negative index count from the bottom. If index is smaller 0, message just index. Converts the index to one baseline number. Okay. From here on, it's one based. Nice, I might not have to use the terminal instance after all. I had to call mode thaw, which refresh the entire screen. A hacky way of doing it, I suppose, but forces neovim to fully redraw the screen. Okay. Yeah, about redrawing, I don't know that much either in neovim. How to do that properly. The whole TUI stuff. Pretty new to me. Didn't done that much on drawing stuff actually inside of neovim. Most of the time I just reused libraries at that point. So let's remove this, go back here. Expected objects to be the same. Range max when the first char is null. What's the actual issue here? ATS enable is not a function. Is gsetter related? And because the first character is null. So that seems to be a problem. So that's strange. So we have here fill lines. Else contents. Converts nulls to new lines is required by an L used for null. Close this one. Here, let's go back. System spec. So we write this, then we parse it in. It looks like this passed in. Well, I don't really get why it's doing that. But maybe we can check first like this. To check this, I will first see if it happens on the neovim buff. Set lines that we write it actually differently. On neovim buff get lines, we should have it. So this should work now. If it's broken on this side on the command, so on piping. Exit this one too. So let's run the make command, but with a no, not vim spec lua. Oops. This is this command. Here, system spec. And the test actually is this one. Inside this. So it's really on piping. So where are we here? This is it. Running this command messes it up. Or what? NVM. This actually changed the way NVM interprets the terminal. And so when I exit the screen, it doesn't get flushed. I guess I'm not using that. I don't get this one. You mean with the mode, it changed how neovim interprets the terminal? So let's say you have a buffer open in NVim. Okay. When I do queue, it doesn't clear the screen. The buffer still shows. It's just a single line is changed to where I now enter a CLI command in my shell. Ah, okay. So after quitting neovim, it doesn't clears the terminal. So I understand. And this is because of this mode. No, I use something called IOP open. Okay. This is what causes it. Interesting. This is strange. But I also wonder how it works behind the scene. Because I'm passing fuzzy find and io.open is for non-interactive standard out interaction, I guess. then in other words, it's breaking the way neovim interprets text rendering. Strange. Actually, for what? Oops. P open. Starts program in a separated process and returns a file handle that you can use to read data from this program if mode is R. The default or to write data to this program mode is W. This function is system dependent and is not available on all platforms. And okay, P open versus IO open. This function opens a file in the mode specified in the string mode. It returns a new file handle, or in case of errors, nil plus an error message. But this one is for file. This one is for file. This is for files. Interaction, opening a file. And the other one is actually program. Pipe into a program and back. Pipes input and output back. So we could go into where was that? I don't think it was in a shell, it was in X command. Do bang. Yeah, that is it. I'm wondering where this is happening. Is it on reading in? Reading out. So range, this is what we do. We do a filter before that. Make filter command. Do out. So let's try actually do this with the debugger. So GDB is equal 1. Close this one. Start the debugger here. So again, here we are, right? So what's actually in the heap here? Command bang. So line 1. To line 2. So it should be here actually. Let's rerun it. I think I missed the point where I wanted to stop. Here. Okay. So why do I set current cursor on the second line? At the end. Here we do the same. Writing and reading of temp files will not be shown. Okay, but this is the old way when we write into a file. Command buffer. Cat here. You save. Okay, this is saving for undo stuff. Call shell. That's, I think, the more interesting part now. Let's call shell. Now the input. Read input. So let's do this actually. So what do we have here in input? Size 9, capacity 16. And read. I thought I would see here actually the input that we read before we pass it to the shell, but I don't see it currently. Input items. Size. Size 9. Ice graph. Really? Yeah, I remember you. The guy who talks sometimes German stuff. Yeah, I cannot forget you ever. Sometimes dreaming even about you texting me. Oh, now you were spent. You're just chatting too much. You have to keep it slow. Yeah, Nightbot is Gestapo. Yes, about the scruff and about the Relitsch. Yeah, I'm not alone. I know. Everyone dreams about scruff. Yeah, you and Nightbot, you can do it all day long. As input. Let's go back here. We are here and currently. Does the exit code say exit code? What? Wait, what? Why we jump in again? So when did you decide to break your keyboard apart? Yeah, that one day, you know, I was playing a game, and I get rage, and then I had to break it apart. It was not Unreal Tournament. Yeah. Yeah, you can imagine you can play stuff on Linux, and it works even sometimes better than on Windows, which is kind of surprisingly, but yeah, Linux bias, yes, yes, but you know that already, right? So we have input here, input buffer, input buffer. Do we see what's in there? Nah, not really. Strange. Linux told you to do this to your keyboard? No. Linux wouldn't do that. It's not destructive. Pencil mustache. Linux. Yeah. Linux cult. Yeah, you have to install it yet on your PC. Just drop Windows. Yes. You paid so viel Geld for it. That's life, yeah. Sometimes you just made the wrong choices. Paying money for Windows 11. It's just wrong. No, yeah, the last time you said you got a new PC or something. You never bought the real key. You bought one from Amazon, right? The people who selling Windows keys for like $11 or stuff like that on Amazon, many of the keys are not real. I mean, they work kind of, but they are not legally distributed. Many of them. Because many are selling their like volume keys or how they are called. And sometimes you get one which is already picked by someone else and stuff like this. Linux is not more difficult. You're mistaking. Then you have to do the experience with Linux. You know, the first time it's always hard. Then it gets better. Yeah, Bill Gates is out of business for many years. Output. Then we get something else. It's that. So let's do this again. Didn't catch that. Now he spent his time donating to Democrat candidates and making fake food. Like artificial butter and stuff like that. Yeah. I believe you this one time. Bill Gates artificial butter. Carbon butter. Air butter that mimics the taste and texture of real butter without using cows or plants. Fake meat, fake butter. Okay, nice. I got it to fully work without the file. Took a bit because I had to correct some filtering. Nice, Fossy. Why can't he retire to some sunny side home or something and not try to interfere with what people consume? You don't have to buy that stuff, right? So even if he produces it, you don't have to eat it. Just keep calm and eat your real butter. Yeah. When he does that, I think then the food printing is more advanced. Then you can just print everything. Even if it would not be the real food, but it will taste like real food. There are enough criminals, chemicals in food as it is. Yeah, it's not the taste. It could taste the same or better. All I care. That doesn't make it healthy. In fact, it makes it worse. Yeah, I'm always wondering about that part. Is I mean, we change the food with many different chemical stuff. Who knows which effect it has really on our body, and also if you just think about that, many people react to different things differently. How could you even say which impact does it have on people if some just can react differently? Yeah. Yeah, if you just test it on like 100 people and say there was nothing that you can um actually see that it changed, doesn't mean it doesn't change anything, right? And even if this does not change, like let's say you have some food that you change or added some chemical stuff to it, and you test it with 100 people and no one had any issues with that, right? You cannot observe any differences. And then you mix it with something else which was also chemically um, changed, or chemicals were added to that. How would you know how this affect you in a mix, right? You cannot really estimate or guess how it will affect people. Yeah, that's a difficult topic, I think. So let's do this again. Just cannot catch the output properly. Before I saw stuff here in the output, but now output is empty, right? Size push. Now terminate to make the output directly usable as C string. So output is new line hello. Okay, and then we free the output here. Let's look into this one. Oh, so it's maybe issue is maybe here after all. Okay, let's retry this part again. Graph your back. Okay. It's scary how fast this is now. So it did make a difference. But you rewrote also more stuff, right? It's just it's not just from not piping to a file and from the file anymore. It's more performance improvements that you did, or is it really just from changing this aspect? So we're here at start. Empty. Output is also empty. Translate null to an L. Stefan, hi. It's going well. But I just merged the master branch into my PR from neovim and it broke stuff. So I'm fixing that. Seems like it never ends. But yeah, I'm getting closer to the finish, I guess. I've started doing some C yesterday. Nice, so you can help me now. And as a genius, could you review my 2 projects? Give me some criticism. To be honest, I don't think I'm in the position to give you any advice in C because I'm an absolute C noob. It's like I can look into it, but I don't really have the experience to. I'm not sure if this is true, but yeah, I can have a look. Stefan, if you just write me into Discord, I will have a look. I don't think yet, maybe after the stream or maybe tomorrow or something like that. But I will have a look. So it seems I'm doing here something wrong. By the way, then I should mention this. I'm doing the C89 standard. And these comments there are mostly for me. Yeah, okay. Understand. What's the newest standard actually of C? C23. Let's see, how old is C18A? Oh, it's 89 for the year. "36 years. That's quite a number for programming standard. C99 is still not fully adopted. That's crazy. C99 is still not adopted. For now, I truly love C. It's super direct. Yeah, I heard a lot about people who wrote C and C++, and I had the feeling that most people would rather choose C than C++, even if C++ is a more higher level. I use C++, I want to eventually settle down in C though. Looks like it just makes sense. Did you try Zig? It's just also something I want to try out in the future, which is kind of nice because you can use C and you can use Zig in the same code base. So you could just use also Zig to kind of migrate C code base to Zig. I didn't play too much with that, but it seems nice because it has this whole build chain and this tooling around this around the language. So the stuff that you know from like Rust, Cargo, CLI, right, and everything that's included, the whole ecosystem. It's in Zig, it's also there, like this Zig build and stuff like that. It seems pretty nice and modern. That's like what I'm missing for C. Is kind of package management and this build tooling around it. Well, this makes sense why my thing is faster, because it's using C directly and does not have to go through Lua abstractions. Cool. I use C++, once eventually settle down. C though looks like it just makes sense. I don't know, but it's so easy to read if you follow a standard, like you just know what code does when you look at it. Yeah, I think it's like when you do stuff, a simple stuff in C, it is like you described. I'm wondering how it is if you have to program something bigger, right? Where you need more abstraction because else it's hard to read because you have then like a big code base and like much logic that you need to implement. That's why I want to use it. Another reason is if I make frameworks for it, then they can be used in many other languages because majority of languages are supersets of C. And like majority of languages um, have some stuff in place where you can just bind in some C libraries or use C libraries. If you're interested about C, take a look at Eskil Steenberg, super goated C dev. Yeah, like many libraries, which are kind of written to be reused by many people, are written in C often. At least that's how I see it. Call me crazy, but I might start using a CLI parser to have faster lookup. CLI parser? What do you mean by that? Or you want to write a parser in C and then use it in neovim? Rather than using tree sitter in nvim, I'm starting to feel even tree sitter is too overkill. Maybe I am going to extreme. Yeah, Bossy, I think you can't just play around. I mean, if you have the time and you want to do that, just do it. Doesn't mean you have to stick with it, right? You will learn a lot of stuff along the way, I guess. That's what valuable there. Just this combo of X, bind, Primogen's hook tool, I forgot what it's called exactly, and fuzzy finder. Harpoon, yeah, that's the one what Primogen wrote. Oh, sorry, I said stuff without context. I mean create a command and grab standard out from it, like I did with fuzzy finder. I meant create a command and grab standard out from it, like I did with fuzzy finder. I don't Fuzzy, I don't really get what you want to call there, because you described different things before. There were one thing where you search in the buffer, then there were a thing where you could search over multiple files, right? I just get confused by this. There are multiple implementations basically. Right, let's go. But recently I've synced. Okay, I made it so I have all that, but leveraging existing Unix tools via piping commands and redirecting standard in and standard out. When I mean parser, I mean an AST abstract syntax tree parser like treesetter, for example. But what are you trying to do with a treesetter or abstract syntax tree parser? What are you trying to parse? Like your current file, and then trying to find like classes and functions and stuff, or then get this one? Rather than go through Lua abstractions, I might just pipe commands via shell, since it's likely going to be faster again. Can you show Stefan the GIF I sent you on Discord? I'll give him more insights to what I'm referencing. You could, Fossi, you could just write in Discord in a global channel. I mean, there is not that much people that like you would distract someone or annoy someone if you just post it in that channel there. And Stefan can also see it there, so it's fine. Yeah, that's why I mean you can just write in Discord channel instead of DM. It keeps the server alive. But guys, I have to go. I want actually have a short stream today, but yeah, gets longer than I initially planned. But I'm glad you're joining the stream, so I hope you come more often. Yeah, see you in the next one, guys. Bye bye.